Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video we are starting building the 3D hand in Unity from the data that we have captured in OpenCV Python and MediaPipe. So if you haven't watched the last video, please look down to the description, and if you haven't seen the first video talking about this project, please go to this corner to find out more about what is the project about and what is going on. And it is very interesting. It is very important that you watch that video first. And if you have done so already, let's get started. So here we are. This is the Unity scene that we had before. I just added something called the balls. So I will explain a little bit how I did it. And also I have added the ground floor and also the buildings about the cubes. Right, so but before, let's get into it. So as you can remember, in the last video we have this code, which is the manager. It is responsible of getting the landmark data that we have captured in MediaPipe in Python. And the next is to create another file. I have already done so, which is called hand tracking. So the hand tracking is mainly composed of the manager itself, so that class that we have called UDP receive, and we have also an array of game object handpoints. And so we don't have anything to put in the start, so let's get rid of that first. And then we have in the update function, we have the string data UDP receive data, and that's the data that we have. And it is very important that it is still a string of an array, so it has the brackets that we don't want. So this is responsible about removing the square brackets, and this is transforming the string that we have, and using the commas inside the string, we will split them into a string of a list of strings. And it is important that all the elements in that new list is a string and not a float. We are going to turn into a float later. So we have a for loop about 21, and this will be responsible of looping through each ball that we have, for each sphere that we have. So we have the float x equals to 7 minus float dot parse point I times 3. So the I is the index, and the times 3 is well, it will depend on the index, but it will basically use the x value, because if you remember, the list is composed of x value of the first point, y value of the first point, and the z value of the first point, then the x value of the second point, the y value of the second point, and so on. Similarly, we can use the y value for the I times 3 plus 1, because it is the one just after the x value. And same for the z, but we have plus 2 because this is the second value after the x value. And we normalize them by dividing by 100. And for the floating, this is just a matter about reversing. I have decided to turn this into a negative and add 7 to it. And the last thing is the handpoints I, so the corresponding landmark that we have is turned into this vector, this new vector. So this is the new position that we have from the data, and we assign that position to the landmark itself. So now let's get to Unity and let's see. Okay, so it is compiling the C# scripts. That's fine. Okay, so we have created an empty object, so we can create an empty object that we want. We make sure that we have put to 0, but I'm not going to do this again because I already have one for the balls. So now let's get rid of this object. So I have created those balls, and inside them I have added spheres inside that, and these are accessible from the 3D object right here. Yeah, sphere. And for each sphere, so first we want to build one sphere, we want to parameters that sphere, and then we want to add to duplicate it. Otherwise, we will have to change every 20 of one of them, and it will be a complete nightmare. Okay, so there is nothing really to do, just adding the material. So we can create a material by right-clicking into the assets panel, and you can create material, and we can create any material that you want. You can select the color. I will say blue. And here's a blue material, and then we can just drag the material to the object. But I've already done that for the reds. Oops, I'm not going to do it again. And once you have configured the material, this is the time where you can duplicate everything. And when duplicating, it is very useful to rename it to the right index, so it can be really useful for the future. if you want to process them a little bit deeper in details. So now we go back to the manager. So the manager, we have added the hand tracking scripts. So as we can remember, we have two objects: the UDP receive, which is the manager itself. You can just be dragged into this component. So if I remove it, I can just select the manager object and drag into this cell. Yeah. And now for the endpoint, I'm not going to do this again because this was a complete nightmare. We just need to keep adding plus 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 until we have element 20. It's actually 21, but we are counting the element 0 as an element, so that's 21 in total. And we want to add all the balls that we have renamed. So 0, 1, 2, 3 until 20. And now that's it for a test, and now we can run the Unity. And before we run the Unity, we need to make sure that the Python file is running, but I've already running in the background, so it is fine to run the Unity code now. Okay, and there is also one more thing. Inside the buildings, I have added cubes, and inside the cubes, I have added a new material, obviously, and also I have added the rigid body, which will be responsible of being affected by the gravity and collision. So we run this again, and because the balls already has a sphere collider by themselves, by default there will already be. Okay, so now the hand is tracking, and as I said, because the sphere has a collider itself, they could potentially interact with the spheres. So if I move it down, oh, okay, yeah, I can move the cubes down. Okay, okay, I don't know, but for some reason my webcam is very bugging, and I can show you. Okay, this is completely rubbish. I really need to get an external webcam for the next video. Okay, but we have noticed something. The balls are so big, and they couldn't form well, so we can add this last line. So endpoint I just like we did before, and instead of the local position, we have the local scale, and this is just a vector 3 of 0.3, and I just put the F to precise Unity that it is all of these are float numbers and not double numbers. Sometimes you have to specify that. So 0.3, that's cool. So now if we rerun again, normally it will compile all the C# scripts. Now let's play again. Okay, normally when we will put the hands, okay, now the balls looks very smaller. That looks better. And the last thing about this video is we are going to add all the connections to it. And for that, I'm gonna do everything from the beginning. So I will create a 3D object. No, first we want to create an empty object, which we call hand lines. And inside those lines, we can add an effect. So it should be below the 3D object, and we put the last one, the line. Okay, so we can call line 0-1. Okay. Now we can add a new material. So I will create a new material, a green material, but not this green. I will add something more flashy, just like this green screen. You see that? That's the green I want to have. That's great. Now let's go back to the line, and we add this new material inside. And the next is to go over the line code. So I've already have this the line code, and this contains just the line renderer, which is the line effect itself in Unity, the public transform origin, the start point of the line, and the destination, the end point of the line. And we can specify the start width and the end width, and obviously we want them to be the same, otherwise it will look like a cone. But if we specify as the same, it will look more like a cylinder. So 0.1 is quite a good number for it, and we also set the position to the origin position and the destination position. That's great. And there is another nightmare. So for the balls, you seem that it was very obvious to put them, and also into the manager codes. It seemed very obvious when we put the balls, but I'm just going to demonstrate how painful it was to define them. So we'll add the line code manager to the line itself. And okay, so first we want to make sure that the empty objects that we have, the hand lines, is all equal to 0 about the position. That's great. And also we want to make sure that the line is equal to 0, and it is worth doing that now, because once we have duplicated, it will be too late and we will have to change for every single items. So now we have added the line code. Now we can select the origin. so we can set 0, and now we select the end, that's 0, 1. So I'm not reinventing something, I'm just trying to recopy the hand landmark that I have seen in MediaPipe documentation. In the MediaPipe documentation, which I have right here. And obviously I have to imitate all those things and trying to match all the key points each other. So this is going to take long. And last one. Whoa, but it's not over yet. This is just the renaming part. Now we want, for each of them, we want to specify which object it belongs. So in this case it is 1 to 2.
5 minutes later.
Okay, now we have finally done. We have finally set up the origin and destination for all the lines. It was very long, but I hope it will worth it. So now let's test. We have pressed replay again. And now, yeah, look at that. Now we have the connection set as well. Okay. So my webcam is a bit laggy, but I think it is still worth it. Whoa. Okay, look at that. Okay, that's great. But there is an issue about this. So we can see that when I bring my hand a bit further, this webcam is so buggy. Okay, we can see that the hand is getting smaller, and when I'm being closer, okay, this webcam, okay, now we can see it is bigger. And there is a mistake about that. When we watch the 3D scene, actually, I'll try to zoom it. Okay, so now when we press in that view, okay, when I put my hand, I'm bringing closer, so it is still bigger at the game render. However, it is not moving in the 3D space. It is moving when I move upside down. Okay, my webcam is so buggy, I can't show you this. But when I move right, left, and up, down, and that works fine. But however, when it's about the size, okay, let's bring it further. Okay, you see, in the 3D scene, it's just getting smaller. And there is a way to do it, but that's gonna be for the next video. So this is it for this video. I hope you enjoy it. Again, the next video will be about how to adjust the Z position movement. And it is not very obvious when you see that, but once we got it, it is quite straightforward. So I really encourage you to wait for that tutorial. Again, don't forget to subscribe and give me a like if you enjoyed this video, and see you next time.